So stage 22, assemble and fit the front left wheel, and for this stage we have just the 3 parts. First of all, we have a front tyre, and what I'm going to do is I have had a little advanced look at the instructions. I'm just going to pop that into hot water for a little bit. That is obviously rubber. The next part that we have is a wheel, and that's this plastic piece here. Pretty much the same as the rear wheel, except obviously it's going on the front. And then lastly we have this hubcap, yeah, so there it is. Looks metal, but it's actually plastic. So we give that about a minute in the hot water, and once it's ready and it's softer, remove that from the hot water. Now this is hot water, it can cause burns and scalds, so my advice would be to pick it out with something such as tweezers, and that's nice and pliable, and give it a really good dry, especially on the inside, because if there's any steam on the inside, then that will, once it cools down, that will turn to water, and that could potentially cause issues later on. So once that's dry, I always like to use a nice absorbent cloth, that way you don't have to rub it. If you miss any bits, it still picks up. So there's our nice soft pliable tyre, and we'll just move that bowl of water out of the way so don't knock it. And all we're going to do, nice and simple, we're going to pop this in. Now I prefer to push it in from behind, so make sure there's no markings that are going to be on the outside, which there aren't. And we're just going to pop that in, pop it in at a slight angle to about halfway, and then just bring the rear in, and then this bit that's gone in too far, just push that back, and just give it a couple of pushes from the front and a couple from the back. Just make sure that's all level, and that looks absolutely smashing. So what we need to do now is bring in the chassis from the fire engine, and it does say the front left wheel, which is going to be this one, which is the same side as the rear wheel that we've already fitted. We're just going to pop that on there. There's a little bit there, and that's going on like so, and you'll just see the little the wheel bit come through there. And then what we need to do now is take an L-type screw, which has already been provided in stage 15. You'll see there I've got 2 of them, and I think I might have said in previous issues, oh, that might be spare, because normally if they're going to give you a spare screw, unless they specify, it's generally just the 1 screw. So we'll just screw this on. That is a top hat screw, so that's obviously going to stop that wheel from falling off. And as per normal, I can't get the screw on the screwdriver. There we go. Right, so once I've got that on, it's a little bit tricky finding somewhere positive to hold this. Right, once that's on, we want it so that the wheel will still turn, but there's no buckling in the wheel, and that's quite hard to find if there's any rocking, because obviously that steering is moving. So I think the approach I'll give it is I'll tighten it some more. Yeah, there is a little tiny bit of give there, and I think there will always be a little bit of give. Saying that, that's just really minimized it, and that wheel is somewhere between perfect and slightly too tight. Yeah, I'm happy enough with that. So we'll finish this stage off with the fitting of the hubcap. Now what you'll notice with the hubcap is that there are 2 longer stubs and then 2 shorter stubs. So what we want to do is, if we have a look inside the wheel, we can see two marks there, and we just want to pop that in. Now the instructions are showing installing it with tweezers. I think that's possibly a little bit too fiddly. I think it's just best to just put the hubcap in and just feel around, make sure it's located, and I don't think that's gone in. Obviously what works best for you is, you know, it's your call. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's do as the magazine says, and we'll try and do it with tweezers. Do you know what, I take that back, the magazine is right. You just gotta make sure you line it up. This is more of a clip than a locating tab. No, it's not going in. And I think the reason it's not going in is because I've not located it correctly. And it doesn't help that my sight isn't as good as a youngster anymore. I know I'm not the only person with that problem. Right, and I've just dropped the hubcap. Right, so I wonder if that tab is too large. So I'm going to turn it around. Right. What is it that lately I have such a struggle with the simplest of tasks? See, the problem I'm having is if you don't hold this hubcap exactly in the middle, because it's quite smooth, it's just going to ping off. And there's me thinking this was going to be a nice short issue. See, I think the tabs are slightly wider than the hole, for the reason being that once you get that tab in, it's going to hold it in with pressure. There we go. No. There we go, that's in. So the tab, once you locate one tab in, the other tab will just sit slightly above. So what you need to do is find something just to push that tab in, and then it will slide in, and then that will stop that hubcap from coming out. But there we go, that is issue 22 finished, and we're getting somewhere now. We're starting to get a third point of contact with the tyres. I'm not happy until we've got at least 4 wheels, but now we've got 3. That's not too bad. So obviously I'm hoping that there'll be an issue soon where we get the back tyres. So guys, that's issue 22. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Okay, so this is stage 23, and it's quite an interesting stage because there are only one piece, which is the main circuit board, as you can see, but there is actually quite a lot to do in this issue. So let's not remove that circuit board until we're ready. Very, very colourful, isn't it? So what we need to do, we're going to be putting some of the sub assemblies together. So we're going to need to be taking the crew cab, and we're going to need the last crew seat, which we made in the previous issue, and as you can probably guess, that's going to go into there like so, and that will be attached as well. It says push firmly in position, which it's still quite rocky. So that needs to be put into place with a type H screw, which as you see we've got quite a few. So I suspect we've been receiving the screws in previous issues, and now we're going to start using them. So we need to find a way to hold this so that we don't break anything, but we still hold the seat in place, and I think holding it like that is going to work quite well. And we're just going to pop the screw into there like so, and that goes in quite nicely. There is a little bit of a keyhole fitting. That's it, nice and firm, so it's not going to rock once it's in place. Now be a little bit careful. I think I just started to just strip that thread in there, so I did stop, but I can see that this is actually okay. So I think I stopped just at the right place. So next we've got a bit that is going to be a little bit frustrating, I think. We have 2 screws, 2 H screws that we fitted in an earlier issue, an early stage, which is going to clip all of this on, and now what we have to do is remove them. So I'll get my screw pot ready, and we'll pop those straight back into the pot so that we don't lose them. I'm not a big fan of removing screws once we've installed them, because obviously, especially as we're installing into plastic, we do run the risk of stripping the threads, stripping the obviously where you screw them into plastic, you ruin that plastic bit. But we'll see what happens. And that comes off easily. There we go. It's just that wire at the front that was stopping it from coming up. Right, so now we've got this off, we want this piece, the center console, so we'll just pop this to one side, get our screws out of the way, and then what we want to do is we want to get our circuit board, and be careful here because we are playing with electronics, so I'm going to touch it just at the edges, and that's going to go into there, and there's only one way it can go in, because there's a big hole in the middle, you see there, and that will just go straight in like that. And you'll also notice there's 4 screw pegs in there, and that's going to line up with the holes in the circuit board. So the next thing we need to do is to get some type H screws. Now you may recall in a previous issue I was a bit concerned that we had so many H type screws left over, and when you take into account that there's the 4 screws that we're going to need for this, and these are the 2 H screws that I've just now removed from the center console, we can see that there are plenty. So it is very important to not lose the screws, because it looks like we haven't been given any spares. So we'll get this first one lined up. When you see one that's lined up, just take it, because I don't want to touch these circuits, these components. I don't mind touching, let's do the screwdriver the right way, shall we? I don't mind touching these bits, but I want to avoid contact with those bits there. I don't know what would happen if I touched them, if I got some grease, or possibly worse, if I touched them with a metal screwdriver. So right, so I'm only putting these screws in just enough to bite, and the reason for that is if that circuit board is twisted, if it's not quite the right shape or it's not in properly, if I screwed one bit in hard, it could crack that circuit board. Circuit boards tend to be quite weak. Treat them the same way you would acrylic windows. So now they're in, I can just give a few more, what I'm calling catch-up screwing, where some have been screwed in slightly more than others. I'm just screwing them so they're all in roughly the same length, and I think that's in okay. So I'm going to finish off screwing them up, and I'm only going to go as far as the screw once it gives me resistance. We don't need to go any further because that circuit board is in. Now this is just fallen out as I was screwing, and I can see it goes in this way, but to be honest with you, I'm going to leave that out until it goes in, because then once it's fallen out, it can't fall out again, can it? So next thing we want to do is we want to plug this blue port from the front into the blue socket there, and that's going to go in, just got to work out which way. So there's a little line on the plug, that's to stop you from putting it in the wrong way. So it does mean I've got to do a half turn on the wire, but that goes in nicely. I say that struggling to get it in. There we go, that's gone in fine, absolutely fine. So give that a little test pull, that's not going to fall out easily. I'm just looking at how I can do these neatly, and it looks like it will go neat, no problems. So the next thing we want to do is, it says push clipper will only fit one way. Then we want to connect up the dashboard So we have another sub-assembly from the previous issue, which is this one, and we want to turn this over, and we've got 2 tabs behind there, and those 2 tabs there want to go into that little hole in there, and that will go in. That's actually not as simple as it looks. So I want to try and keep this level. And I also don't want to knock that lamp because I don't want to break it off. Although isn't that lamp push fit? There we go. Let's take the lamp out. So maybe they shouldn't have told us to fit that lamp yet. Maybe we should have kept that in the bag. There we go. It looks like I'm bullying this in, but I assure you I'm not. You need to be a little bit firm with it. There we go. You need to be fairly firm, but obviously don't, because it is plastic. Right, so I'm glad I didn't super glue that lamp in. I was just a bit worried I was going to break that off. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the center console over, and we need to run some of these wires. So we've got a black one with, it looks like we've got 2. So turn the console over, grip the connector from the dashboard with 4 colored cables. We don't have, oh there we go, it's this one. So we're dealing with, there's only one with 4 cables, and it's yellow, blue, red and green, and that's going to go into that first black one. That can only fit into that one because, as you can see, there's only one black connector with 4 prongs. So I'm just going to try and keep this neat. I remember this one, it gave me a lot of trouble, didn't it, these connectors. So that's going to go in with the 2 little lines. 2 little lines, yeah, it's got 2 little lines on it. The other one had 1, and that needs to go into facing the middle. And there we go, that's gone in nice, very nice. Right, so once we've done that, we then want to take the remaining dashboard connector at the end of the 3 cables, black, yellow and red. Oh, there's only the one left, and that wants to go into the other black cable. So being very careful, because in fact I'm going to take this out because that just seems to be in the way. So it is only a push fit connection, and obviously we can glue that in if it gives us trouble. So I'm just pushing these wires in so that they're neat, and if anything these wires are a little bit too long. It's not often I say that, is it? Right, so there we go. So that's the black wire in. So I'm being aware that there's a yellow connector there, so obviously something's going to go in there, so I don't want to block that up. So let's see if we can just tidy this up a bit. So I wonder if maybe we can put some tape or something in there, but let's leave it for that like that for now, because it may not need tidying up. So next we want to take our cab unit, and we're going to have more connecting to do. And don't forget, I've got this little light here which I've not installed yet. So right, so we're after these. Now it just tells us to take the main take the right hand light cluster assembled in stage 17. Now we know that these have got arrows on the glass, so if we look at the magazine, we're going to be working on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it this way, which means we're working on this one. Excuse me, someone just sent me a text message. Right, so what I'm looking for, this is actually the wrong one. You see that arrow, if I put it in there, it'll be pointing to the middle. So I want to put this to one side. We're always going to get either the right one or the wrong one. So, right. So this gets threaded through. Let me just check the arrows. Yeah, so that arrow is pointing that way. So we're going to push the cable through. We can't see it, can you? I do apologise. So we have the hole there at the front. We push the cable in there like so. And is that a push fit? I think that might be a push fit. Right. I haven't pushed it in yet. So with the main cab upside down on your work surface, take the right hand light cluster, pass the cable connector through the opening in the front of the main cab body as shown, and then it just tells us to repeat with the left hand side. So we've already opened the left hand side, so we're gonna pop that in there like so. That's going in there. I'm resisting the temptation to push those in, although they look like they've been pushed in. Just have a quick look. Right. Okay. Right, take the front right cab assembled in stage 2, holding it upside down, and feed the inner cab panel into the cab as shown. So this looks like it's going to be a complicated issue. It looked really simple, considering there's only one part that came with it. That's really complicated. So that's the wrong door. I'll leave that out just in case we do need it, because sometimes we work on one side and then the other. So here is the cab door that we're dealing with. And I think I'm going to take a break, because I was aware when as soon as I hit the record button, I was aware that I didn't have a cloth down, and I thought, well, that's okay, I can work on everything the right way up so that I'm not going to scratch anything. But I really think I've given up, not given up, I've given in to the fact that I think I'm going to have to turn things upside down. So if you can bear with me, I'll just get myself a cloth. Okay, so I return with a cloth which is obviously going to be purple, and I must confess I took a little opportunity to have a quick look at the instructions and a quick look at the parts, and I can see that these parts, as we put them in, they have two little lugs on them, and those two little lugs will coincide with two holes there, and these will be a push fit connection. And I believe that they won't fall out for two reasons. One is it's a good connection, as you can see, and secondly, we're going to add something onto the back from the inside, and I think that will help to hold them in as well. I may be wrong on that second part, but these push fit connections are actually very good, as you can see. So we're going to turn this upside down, and let's turn it the same orientation as the magazine. So we need to take this door, and we'll do a quick check. I can see that this door is going to fit, so that is the correct door, as opposed to this one, which is obviously the wrong door. And what we're going to do is I lost the page now, sorry. Right, so we need to thread this wire, place the inside of the door inside the cab. We need to then place this wire through this hole like so. and I hope this isn't another issue 21. If it is, I don't know, shall I throw it in the bin? You know, I never give up on models, but right, that's gone in what looks like it's very, very nice. So right, so that's that one in, and then what we need to do is take a C-type screw, and we have just the two screws. So again, the importance of not losing a C-type any screw. And I'm going to hold the back of this door in. Just there you can see a screw hole, and that explains why, if you remember in an earlier stage, we didn't put all of these red bits on. And this is a little bit of clever engineering. I think we have seen this, but what's going to happen, I'm sorry that you can't see this so well. Right, so this is going to screw the door panel on. Sorry, not the door panel, the door. So here we have the door is on, and that's looking pretty good, but in doing so we have an ugly screw. Now it doesn't explain it yet. Yes, it does. The very next stage is that we take one of the emergency lights, and bear with me guys, because I have so many little bits and bags in my box, and I did see them off camera when I was looking for something else, so I know they exist. But like I say, we just have so many. Oops, something's just fallen out. Right, here they are. So in a previous stage we had lots of these little emergency lights, and we have two left over. So what we're going to do is we're going to push fit connect. Did I just make a term up there? There we go, and that's hidden that screw very nicely. Now keep an eye on these, because I had trouble with some of my others, like this one, and I think maybe not those, but there, these two and these two, they kept falling off. So keep an eye on that, and if they do fall off, just pop a little tiny dab of glue in there and that will be absolutely fine. So if we were grading this part work, I would give them an extra point for this clever engineering where they've hidden the screw hole, but that will just be cancelled out by the lack of a point for the spare screw. That spare screw does worry me, because I don't lose many screws, but I have lost screws before. So what do you do if you lose a screw? Do you have to pay for a new issue? Right, so the next step, as you can probably guess, we're going to be bringing this other door in from the other side, and we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to thread this wire through, and I have just noticed, obviously as you may have noticed in the previous steps, we were putting these cables, they've got coloured ends, and the circuit board has coloured connectors. So we know that we're going to be putting the same colour cable into the same colour connector. This has actually got a few locating pegs, which is obviously going to make life easier, but having said that, these aren't going in. So yeah, so I was saying we've got these coloured connectors, and that's not actually meant to go in there. I think that might actually be a screw hole. No, it's not a screw hole. Is that meant? Is meant to go in, look, because these two have gone in. That's interesting. So I didn't notice that as we put that in, but that's gone in. So we've got to put these connectors in. There we go. So in actual fact, that hangs on there quite well without screwing. Obviously we're going to pop the screw in, but yeah, anyway, I keep trying to say this and I keep interrupting myself. So we've got these connectors. We know that that's going into a blue connector, but look, these two do the same job, but they're different colors, so that's quite nice. So we'll take our second C-type screw, our final C-type screw. We have no more left, and what I'm going to do is turn this around, and I'm going to pop the screw into there just like I did before. And then we're going to pop our little emergency light on to there, and I think as a showpiece these fittings are satisfactory. If you're going to actually pick this up, I really would just go straight in and put some glue in there, but I think that'll be absolutely fine. So there's our front, and that is looking really nice. There's my scratched windscreen. I don't think that's awful, so I think I'm probably going to be alright with that windscreen. So that's that stage done. Now I think we've got some fiddly bits. So what we need to do now is position the 5 cables so that they are projecting outside of the main cab body. So there's 2 at the front, so they need to come out like this, and then there are 3 at the back. 3 at the back. The reason I can't follow is because I've got it the other way round, but we've got 3 at the back or the front. Yes, 3 at the back, and then we've got 2 at the front. So what I'm going to do, let's get some clamps, because they want to naturally spring in. So if you don't have clamps, you can use clothes pegs. That's fine. And these want to come this way. I don't really know how best to do this, so I'm just gonna clamp them both and hope. Yeah, there we go. The weight of the clamp is keeping that free, so I think we'll position that. So now what we want to do is take the center console, which is here, but don't forget that my glass came off, so I'm going to pop the glass back in, and I've got to figure out which way round it is. Now if you remember, on that black bit, I don't know if you can see it, there's 2 little studs, and those 2 studs are going to coincide with that, and I believe that's going to go in this way. And maybe I didn't put it in well enough in the first place. There we go, that's in. So what we are looking for, where the light is or was, there are 2, there it is. On the instructions it looks like a white piece of plastic, but we're looking for 2 tabs there. So now it does say if the divider glass is not fitting correctly in the next steps, you can trim the sides to get a perfect fit using a craft knife and steel ruler. So that statement worries me, because it's saying to me that it might not fit. So what we are doing now is, with this cab upside down, holding the rear end of the center console, lower the assembly into the main cab body, ensure the front light cables. Oh, I need to pop this on now, don't I, this light, because it's going to be too late possibly to put that in, and I think that might need a dab of glue. So that we'll see how it goes. Right, so that's going into there, and that's not wanting to go. There we go. It didn't want to go in because those doors were in the way, and I can now start to see where the cables need to be. That's my lamp just gone, wasn't it? No, oddly enough, that's one of the other greebly bits fallen off. So this might be becoming an issue. So as you turn it upside down, you'll notice that there's a center channel there, which is where these wires are going to go, and these are just going to be covered up. So let's see how we get on. Oh, right, that's fallen off. Right, okay, let's get a dab of super glue, because that is obviously going to fall out, because this bit's fallen out again. I'm not going to need a massive amount, I just need enough to hold it in, and I'm going to put on, I'm using this straight from the bottle because this is a gel super glue. You could get away with a thin glue, but because it comes out really slowly, it's actually going to be a lot more controllable. And then while I'm there, I'm just going to get the light, and don't apply too much because we don't want to get glue squidge. And they're in there fine. Look at that, they're not coming out now. So let's see if we can do this. Probably something else will fall off now. So pulling these cables as far forward as I can, I'm going to pop that in there like so, and I think I can just push that. Get these cables, make sure they go through that center channel. Right, and then I want to slide this in, and it's sticking. It's a very hard job, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to push one side then the other, because what I don't want to do, I don't want it to rock, because it will then, but now we've got stuck. There we go. Got to be very gentle around here because I think it's knocking onto the lights. There we go. So a little bit on the back. Try and keep this as level as you can, and I can explain the science on that if you want. Right, at this point I'm going to have a little look. Right, so the wires on the finish, once the next picture shows where it's coming out, and it looks like these wires are coming out there on the inside of these white bits. And what I'm also being aware of, you can see these tabs there, and there's two holes in the roof, so we eventually want to get those tabs into the little holes. And I've got a feeling that we're going to reach a point where this is just going to fall in. So, and the thing is, if this goes in wrong, I really do not know if we can get it out again and try again. So I'm just going probably overcautious, but isn't it better to be overcautious than not cautious enough? Right, so this acrylic sheet has now reached the tabs, and do you know what, I think mine is too long. No, it's okay, it was just bent a little bit funny. Or is it? There we go. Right, so the acrylic sheet has now gone in, but it's slipped off the center console, so I think we can get a little bit more push on that console. So now I think I've trapped this wire. This wire there is much shorter. I need to just pull my camera back a bit, sorry guys. I've just got a new desk set up, so I'm still playing with camera angles. Right, okay, I've got a bit of a problem here. I haven't kept a good enough eye on this wire. There we go, and that's probably why it was so stiff, because look, that goes in and out quite easily now. Right, so we've got 3 wires there and 3 wires there. Right, so what I want to do now is turn this over and actually have a look at that acrylic from the front, from the right way round. And yeah, I don't think it's gone in properly. I don't know if you can see that black bit there. It's pushed forward a little bit, and it doesn't. When I did a little dry test on it, dry run, dry fit, it wasn't pressed forward. So I think I'm going to have to do this in such a way that you can't actually see what I'm doing. It's probably not going to be noticeable unless you know what you're looking for, but I kind of go on the philosophy of I know it's there. Right, I think that's as good as I'm going to get it. So that little black bit, it is a little bit forward, but not as bad as it was. So yeah, I think I'm happy enough with that. I know it's really hard to see because the light isn't perfect, but this is what we've got so far. Now for some reason this door doesn't want to close. Why is that? Is that because the center console is in the way? More problems with the doors. Didn't I have a problem on this door? This side of the door? Something rubbing on it, and I think there was a warning actually about this in the magazine. So yes, the top of the dashboard aligns with the bottom edge of the front windscreen. If it is a tight fit, try filing both corners of the dashboard. So I think it is, yeah, look, it's just there. That's the part that's, can you see it just there? Right, there's a little tab there, little sticky out bit, that's where it's rubbing. So I'm gonna have to file it. It's fine on this side, as you can see, no problems there. Right, okay, it's not something I want to do, because once you start taking bits off with sandpaper you can't put them back. But thankfully this isn't a painted piece of plastic. Because if this was a painted piece of plastic, I'd have to do it. I'd have to paint it again. Yeah. I want it to be a bad fit. I want it to be that I fitted it badly, and that all I have to do is do you know what, that I did not plan that. I promise you I did not plan that. I just adjusted this and suddenly it's gone in. Just as I was saying I want this to be my fault, you know, but not fitted properly, and I just moved it and look, it's gone in perfectly. So thankfully I haven't done any, you know, it's not noticeably bad there. It looks absolutely fine. It is unpainted plastic there. So there we go, that's in. So have we finished the stage? No, we have not. There's so much to do, it's unbelievable. Right, so we're going to do some electrics now. So taking the cab this way round, we have these cables to play with, and the first one that it wants us to take is this red one, and that's going into that red plug there. And grab the red connector from the red front light cluster and plug it in. So there's our little holes there, and that's going, oh, that's a tight fit. There is not a lot of excess on that one. Let me let me clamp these back again to get them out of the way. So as I said, I've got the a new desk set up, and I'm playing with the cameras, and it's looking like I'm going to have different camera setups for different projects. Something else I was playing around with, I was doing some test filming, and the camera angle that I started off with was perfect, but what I'm now starting to find is now that I'm doing the fire engine, there are times when the camera angle's not perfect, so I think I'm going to have to find the perfect camera angle for the fire truck. So what I've had to do there, that was quite awkward to get in, so I've got something that where I can apply even pressure either side of the wires, which just happen to be these bent tweezers. Right, so that's interesting because it hasn't actually told us to plug this one in, and obviously we're going to have to plug this blue one in, and obviously it's going to go into the blue connector. So why it hasn't, I think maybe that was a mistake on the instructions. It certainly would have made more sense to put that in first, because now we have less room, but it will go in. You've just got to get it lined up, hopefully the right way around. Or is that, no, the reason it hasn't told us to put that one in yet is because that's not where it's going to go. So it's actually telling us to put these in next, and oh god, so it says plug one of the 3 roof LED light bar plugs into the furthest yellow 3-pin socket. So remind me guys, which plug is which? Does it actually matter? 2 of these are controlling a red light and 1 is controlling a white light, and we're going to be plugging one of the 3 roof lights, but it doesn't tell us which one. So it's my guess that there's going to be a circuit of, say, that one, that there's only 2 3-pin plugs. There's 1, 2, this, that's right. So on this circuit board, get a pen. So that's a 3-pin plug, that's a 3-pin plug, that's 4, that's 2, that's 2, and that one's 4. So where does the other one go? These are definitely all 3 pins. So unless this is going to be controlled somewhere else. So oh, that's, right, this one, I don't know if I've trapped the wire, but this is the shortest one, so I'm actually going to plug the shortest one in the furthest, for the reason that it will go, and once it's in, it's in, and if I do struggle, then I can always change it. So it does say to plug 1 in, so I'm just going to plug 1 in, and that's 1 plugged in, and I think that will be okay because it's going across the circuit board. It's not actually restricting access, not like this one is. You may wish to check the available lengths of the 3 yellow 3-pin cable and plug them in from longest to shortest from steps 38. Okay, well now we're going to find out where they go, because plug another yellow plug from the group of 3 into another yellow 3-pin socket. So there's only one more yellow socket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this wire to the left. The reason being is, if I now plug this second cable in, hopefully it's going to naturally try to push this cable back. Do you see? So it's I've still got room for more plugs. So the third yellow plug plugs into the blue 3-pin socket adjacent to the 2 black sockets. The socket is a different colour to the plug, but this is the correct position. No, any of the 3 yellow plugs may be fitted into the blue socket. So that plug is there next to this red one. So maybe I should have plugged the slightly shorter one in, but I really the actual lengths of the cable, we're not talking significant length difference, we're talking a few millimeters, but as you know with these part works, sometimes a couple of millimeters can make a huge difference. So right, so that plug, I just think that's really odd. So obviously when this is working, these 3 lights on the top, there's going to be some kind of circuit to either flash them all at the same time or flash them randomly. I'll be honest with you, I really don't know how the lights flash, but possibly randomly I would guess. So we've got 3. Obviously the controller is going to just go pick a random number between 1 and a million and then send a signal after that number of nanoseconds and then pick another number, and then, you know, so you could get one going quite slowly and the other one's going really, really quickly and the other one's going, you know, and then all of a sudden one will change to really quick. I don't know, that's just complete guesswork. Right, so tidy the cable. Oh, we've got, I think I missed another cable. Right, so I've got a blue cable now. Did I miss this one? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. It's not going to go in that one. It is going to go in. Right, I'm going to plug this blue one into the blue one. Right. I've either missed the stage or it hasn't included the stage, but I've just seen the picture on the next instructions. This wire is most definitely already fitted into this blue socket. So I need to come in this way round. I have to come in this way because of these. No, it's not fitting because of those. I had the cable the wrong way round. So no, I had it the correct way round. I do apologise. There we go. There we go. They're fitted. Now it's saying for the next stage, tidy the cables so that they are all routed in the center console. The cable tidy supplied is useful for this. So where was, I don't remember a cable tidy. The only area of concern I have is you have these 2 posts here which are obviously screw holes. I think they are actually the part that we took off, which what have I done with that? That's interesting. Or did we put it back in? No, we didn't. Okay, that's odd. Oh, it's here, isn't it? We screwed it out of there. So, right. Sorry, guys. Right, so that is it. And I'm happy to say that that's all gone in. That's quite a complicated issue, given, especially given we only had one part. But if you are looking at the instructions yourself, well, if you're not looking at the instructions yourself, I can assure you that this is pretty much identical to the magazine. So I am rather happy with that, and I can see one of the glasses has just come off. So I'm going to do that off camera, but I'm going to just put a tiny dab of super glue on there, because these have fallen off for the last time for me. It'll look odd if I don't put it on. So as you can see, they do fall off. They don't fall off like just by looking at them, but you've only got to knock those and they'll come off. So I'll probably do that off camera. So that's stage 24 done. Now this will most definitely be the end of the end of this video, because this stage took half an hour, and it's also the very last stage of pack number 3. I know that in a previous issue, let me move to my front camera. There we go, guys. So can you hear me okay? I need to adjust this camera. There we go. Sorry about that. So I'm quite happy with those 2 issues. I've had a couple of moans about the part work. I don't think it was of a higher standard. Well, certainly not the other part works they've done. But then again, there's other part works out there that are absolutely terrible, and to spend 4-figure numbers on part works that just aren't working. So we have so far we have a working part work, and to think that I'm only a quarter of the way through the build and I've got something fairly substantial in my hand. I mean, obviously this is probably going to be like 90% of the model, because the rest of it is just body work. So I'm rather happy with this. So next week we begin pack number 4. I have actually got pack 5 coming. I've got in a muddle in the past because we're getting roughly 6 to 8 stages per pack, and each pack obviously comes monthly, and I'm trying to get all of the stages done plus extra stages within 1 month, so that eventually I catch up. And I think that got me in a muddle because I put a little bit too much pressure on myself. So the last few stages I've only done one stage. I'm now taking the attitude that I do as much as I do. If I do 1 stage a week, that is all I do. But that will enable me to put more effort into each stage. I will do each stage properly. I've made mistakes on this. I've even made mistakes on this one, where I've just sanded a little bit of the framework. If I'd have just maybe not jumped in quite so quickly, just fiddled around with it for another 10 seconds, I would never have needed to get that sand. As it happens, I got away with it, that's fine. But as you can see, I'm just slowing down, and I think I'm getting a better build. Right guys, so that's it then for me. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate your support. I have been watching the subscriber numbers go up recently, and the views going up, and I really do appreciate it. I still have the attitude that if only one person looks at my video and they enjoy it, it is worth me making the videos. But I'm happy to say that I'm getting much more than that. So guys, thank you for your support, and it really does spur me on. So take care guys, and I'll see you in another video.